and then we will go from here.
Hello?
Hello, Scalp.
Get my camera turned on here.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Or
yes. Hello, sir. How's it going?
I'm doing great. How you doing? Let
Doing pretty solid myself, my man. Is my camera on for you or no?
not yet.
Okay,
Sometimes
it
it
may
takes a
not
sec.
turn on because I'm using it on
Yeah.
Streamlabs.
Are you? Do you have a second camera by any
I
chance?
do not have a second camera.
Okay,
I
we
got
could.
my phone, I guess, but
Yeah,
I can
either
try.
that or we could do a voice chat thing. We could do
Okay,
that as
voice
well.
would be easier because I don't know how to set this up on my phone.
Okay.
If that's fine with you, if that's not gonna mess anything up.
Yeah, no, no, no. That's fine. We could do that for sure.
All right.
Um, you all ready to go? You don't need to get up.
Nope, I am rocking and rolling, man.
All right, beautiful. Well, thank you for doing this interview. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime to the best pilot on Twitch. How could I say no? So, we're gonna start with the boring stuff. Okay. Well,
Okay.
first, before we start the boring stuff, we got two rules here. Okay. First rule: if you don't want to answer a question, you are more than welcome to say, "Poi, we got to pass," and I would be more than happy to pass. And two, well, since we're not using video chat, I would say don't look at chat, but try to do your best not to look at chat. It's just you and
Gotcha.
me, baby.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good, baby.
Ooh, don't call me that. Okay, so demographics. So your name is ScalpWakka, right? Tell me a little bit
That is
about that.
that is my legal name. Yes. So when I was first starting streaming, I was wanting a name that was unique, that would stand out,
Hmm.
something that would separate myself from the pack. And I looked at my interests. I'm really into like Lord of the Rings, Warhammer 40K fantasy stuff, and I
Hmm.
like orcs within that. And
Right.
so I wanted a like orc name, and the first name that popped in my head was ScalpWakka. I was like, it's not too long. I'll run with it.
So
And so
so it wasn't based on like Waka Flocka or nothing like
no,
that. Okay, that was my
definitely
very
not.
first question on that. All right, beautiful. And your gender,
Male,
male, and your race,
white.
white, and your ethnicity,
Wait, okay, hang on. Options, ethnicity.
ethnicity. So No Bear said last time he was Hungarian, and it's based on like your ancestral like background. So you say Irish American or whatever.
Just American, I guess. I don't
Well, where were
really.
your parents from? Where did your parents hail
Um,
from?
a little bit of everywhere. As far as like every American, I don't know up until where that came from. I
Mm-hmm.
just know like the last few generations have been, like the last several have been in
American.
America.
Okay,
Right.
we'll call you American. How about that? All right, let's get on to the even better stuff. So your gaming platform, what do you use consistently?
PC.
PC, yes sir. And your stream platform is Twitch. And you so over your lifespan, how many years have you been playing video games?
Oh man, I've been playing video games since like GameCube. I want to say is as long as I've been conscious. 3, 4, or 5 years old is when I started, and then been playing ever since.
And how old are you right now?
20.
20. So about 17 years. We'll go with
Yeah.
that. And how long over the course of time have you streamed?
I have been streaming for slightly over a year, about a year and a month.
Over a year, not bad. And your community. So community is pretty much the game that you play pretty much. So for most part, I would guess squadrons, right?
Yes, yes, squadrons at the moment.
All right, awesome. And we'll get into the games that you played before squadrons
Okay.
because I am very intrigued by that. So are you a full or part time streamer?
Part time now.
Yes, yes. We'll also get into that as well. Uh, how often per day do you stream? Like an average
Um,
hour intake.
6 to 8.
6 to 8. All right. And what about gaming?
Uh, 8 to 10.
8 to 10, not bad. And so this one I'm gonna need you to like branch out here. So for your daily use of social media, so that's all the apps that you use per day. How on a daily average, how many hours do you use?
Um, if we're not including Twitch, I probably use social media 2 to 3 hours after I stop streaming.
2 3 hours, and with Twitch.
It would be 10 to 11
Okay, that's
if
what
we're including like stream time.
yes, we are. And then so how many? So the number of platforms they use for social media before you started streaming.
Okay, so before I started streaming, Instagram, I guess Snapchat, if we're counting YouTube and Twitch, those two.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really use Twitter before I started streaming, so just those four. I wasn't really big on social media up until I started
Okay,
learning to stream.
and once you started streaming.
It
Uh,
didn't change much. I added Twitter on top of that.
okay, so
Um,
yeah, we could put five. We could put five there. All right, good job. You passed the boring stuff. Good work.
hey, love to see it. Always like a pass.
All right, so let's rewind all the way to before you started streaming. Let's
Okay.
I want to take it back to 3-year-old Scout, right?
Okay.
So when you first started gaming, what inspired you to keep going?
Um, it was fun, man, and like, regardless of what you add on top of that, I had a enjoyable time playing games,
Mm-hmm.
and so I wanted to continue playing games. Right, but as you get older, it's used for more and more things. Like it becomes a hobby, like
Mm-hmm.
building PCs, consoles, things like that, and using it as a break, I guess, from everything else going
And when was there a specific game that like really got you interested into just gaming alone?
on. Mario Kart. I think it was Double Dash, like on the GameCube,
Oh
and
yeah.
Modern Warfare 2.
What about
Those
Smash?
two. I never really played a whole lot of Smash up until recently, but even then, I didn't play a lot of that. It was just I don't know, Smash. I never really got into.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I see you playing like so. I consider Squadrons kind of a shooter. Did you play any shooters when you're growing up?
Yes, I played like almost exclusively shooters growing up. Like in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
it was every day. It was Black Ops 2. I played a lot of Call of Duty growing up, and then into Battlefield, and more recently Battle Royales like Apex, things like that.
Oh, I didn't know you were a battle royale type of guy. Interesting. Okay.
Anything competitive,
Yeah.
I guess. You know what I mean?
And actually, we'll get into that in a brief second. Um, so when you were so we talked about social media platforms that you used growing up.
Mhm.
What was like kind of like the background of using those social media apps? Who got you into it, and what kept you
Um,
posting?
I don't know really. I guess everybody else was using it, so I was like, I'll check it out, and then it just kind of stuck. I've never really been like huge on posting on social media. I've just been using it, I guess, watching other people
Watching
more
other.
so than not watching, that's the weird terminology, but more so like seeing what everybody else is posting and interacting with that rather than posting myself.
It sounded like you were very observant when you were young. Like you kind of like
Right.
were conditioned by what other people kind of did, and how you were brought up was more or less like you see, and then if that's what you that intrigued you in a little perspective, or you wanted to integrate yourself with a community or with people, so you found that social media kind of helped with that. Is that kind
I
of?
think more so like when I was growing up, I was never really social.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really talk to a lot of people. I had my small friend group or whatever, right? But
Mm-hmm.
and that would be why I didn't post more so because I just didn't care to post. I didn't see a point in it. So I was like, whatever. I mean, I can use it and see what other people are up to and what they're doing, but I don't really have to post myself,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing.
Did you did you get some level of confidence after using social media to talk to people and start making new friends?
Um, no.
Okay.
I guess if we're talking in relation to me starting streaming,
No, 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 no. This
um,
is just you in general.
oh, just me in
Yeah.
general? No. Okay. So yeah, it was, I don't know. It was very just like off and on usage, right? I never was really super serious into social media. It was always
Mm,
just kind of like a side thing, like whatever. I've got a free 15 minutes. I'm not doing anything. I can scroll through Instagram real quick,
mhm.
right?
Right.
Um, in terms of like socialization, it wasn't really an outlet for me socially. That's more so like what I would play, Call of Duty with my friends or whatever. Um,
Right.
things like that for that rather than social media.
Very good. So when you're just getting into video games, and as you mentioned before, you were playing games very competitively. Uh, how did you balance video games with schoolwork, hanging out with family, friends,
It was
work?
always like when I got home from school, I had to get my schoolwork done first, and then I could, play video games because I'd be home a few hours before my parents get home, and that I had a few hours for
Mm-hmm.
games after my schoolwork was done. And I get a lot of my schoolwork done at school, so I could just come home and play for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the parents got home, that was family time for a bit. Then they go to bed, and I'd play more video games or whatever. And then if I had plans with friends or whatever, then that would supersede the video games.
Mm-hmm. So you never felt any imbalance. You felt like your parents were kind of on it or on your ass, and there are certain things you had to do first, like homework and
Right, right.
chores and stuff.
Hmm.
Very good. And that never got in the way of you kind of growing as a person, and you never had an issue with it, right?
I don't think so.
No, no, very good.
Not in my opinion. Yeah.
So before you grew into the man we know today, um, what about like stress and depression, anxiety? Do you ever have any experiences with that?
Um, I wouldn't say I've had a ton of experience with it. I've always just kind of, dealt with my stuff. I feel like I do a good job of not like internalizing anything,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Like I've got my ways to cope and, I keep up with that. So I
Yeah,
always try to, make sure I'm in a healthy mental state.
right. And what do you mean by dealt with?
Just like using things to like if anything was ever going on, like if I did get stressed out, right, like I had
Mm.
things like video games or I did martial arts for a bit, I did sports, ways to help me get my mind off of things and or figure things out, right?
Mm-hmm. In martial arts, that I grew up into a system of martial arts. Like, there's a lot that goes into that. We say it as like, oh, most kids start out doing some martial arts, but it feels like you retained a lot of stuff from martial arts. Tell us about your experiences doing it.
um I did a lot of jujitsu. I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with American Ninja Warrior, then moved into martial arts. I did a lot of jujitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. Mainly, I got into it one for self defense, two because it's a great form of exercise and again stress relief.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of stuck with it through that up until recently. I just haven't been able to get a gym membership, and then COVID going around. So
Mm-hmm. So that did you ever compete?
I actually did do a competition. I never competed super seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff I did was just like sparring in house, but I did do a jujitsu competition. Yes.
Did you win?
I got. There was only two people in my group. I did not win
Oh.
that first role, but it was a lot of fun.
Hey, that's so awesome, man. I mean, that's an experience within itself. You can say that
Right,
not a lot
right.
of people have done it, or if say kids are doing it, like they're not getting the full, like I don't know if you did like an open mat or you did like no belt or no gi or whatever it was, but like if it gets pretty intense, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man. Lining up across a mat from somebody like you have no idea who that person is or anything.
Right.
It's all. It's a very adrenaline fueling experience.
When you, I don't know if you remember that match, but when you were in that match, or even when you were practicing at your gym, did you start to like channel things out from around you and just focus on that one person, or did you get distracted by other things?
Yeah, it's always like in competition, it's always been, I want to say, easy for me to zone out and focus in on what I'm supposed to be doing and, keep focus where focus needs to be rather than using unnecessary attention elsewhere.
Right. And I can definitely see that skill kind of carry over now, when you game and then you have like around 100 people in the channel. I could see that you're just casually playing, and that I was curious where that came from. Uh, Now it kind of clicks. So let me ask you about your parents, man. Um, when you were growing up, what were they like? Like you said, they were strict on the amount of time you could spend gaming. Tell me a little bit more about them.
I wouldn't say strict per se, but they wanted to make sure that I was doing the things that I needed to be doing, and they did a good job of that. They've always been like I've been very fortunate in terms of my home life and things like that, and so they've always done a great job of making sure that I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing when I'm supposed to be doing them, but also allowing me to do my own things. Um,
And that flexibility, does that expand towards your career and what you want to do?
yes, it does. They've been very, very accepting and understanding of what I'm trying to do on Twitch in terms of streaming, and it's helped in terms of some of the success that's been happening on my channel, especially more recently, right? With
Right.
like I did just get a job to help fund that, but they're fine. Like as long as I'm able to do the things that I need to be doing, they're okay with it.
That's very awesome to have parents that are very accepting of what their kids do, and that flexibility, right? That creative
Hmm.
flexibility to just be what you want to be, right? That's
Right.
very awesome. All right, let's. Usually people have like a full summary about their parents, so you passed that with flying colors. So let's. How about we get into competitive gaming, right? So when
Okay.
did it all start?
Um, I've always been competitive, and that stemmed from just playing sports at a young age, and then martial arts. But
Mm,
I guess like actual true competitive competing in tournaments gaming happened with squadrons.
okay.
Excuse me, and that's kind of by like design. Like I saw this game releasing, I knew it was gonna be competitive. I was like, okay, that's the point. I'm like, I'm gonna be good at that game. And so I've just put in 1,000 hours and about 3, 4, or 5 months to
Yeah.
get to where I need to be to do that at a really high level.
And when you saw this game, like this game coming out, and you saw like potential in it, and your potential in this game, did you see? And you couldn't see that for any other game, right?
Right, right. Yeah, this has been the one game where, and it was a decision also made for stream, right? Like I saw this game
Mm-hmm.
coming out, I was like, stream that game. It's gonna be a competitive game. I'm gonna be good at that game. And that hasn't happened with any other game. Like I've played other games and wanted to be good at them, but it's never been like, let me actually just put in the time, right?
Right.
This has been the one game that I can play 10 hours a day every single day
Mm-hmm.
and not get tired of it.
What makes Squadron so not tiring, so exhilarating to you?
Oh man, I don't know. It's the developers did a really good job with the gameplay loop. You know what I mean? Like it's satisfying to be
Mm,
good at this game. Not that other competitive games aren't satisfying to be good at, but I mean, I think it's a combination of like the theming, like the Star Wars, on top of the game is 100% skill based, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh, Combination of a few things, and then just the thrill of competitiveness, I guess.
Did you ever connect with, so a lot of what Squadron's community is Star Wars, right? So did you
Mhm.
ever connect with the Star Wars community before Squadrons?
Interestingly, I did not.
Hmm.
I should have been, but I didn't. This was my introduction into, I guess, the Star Wars gaming community and on social medias as well. I watched like Eckhart's Ladder and Bombastic and those guys on YouTube, like
Mm.
since they've been uploading YouTube videos for the most part, it feels. But I've never like interacted with the Star Wars community as a whole up until getting into this game.
Very cool. I thought you played maybe. I know we've had discussions about Battlefront, and
Mhm.
I know that you just started playing Starfighter Assault. So,
Yeah, yeah. I had never played. Okay. Well, I played Battlefront. I'd never played it seriously. I played it probably 2 weeks and then dropped it.
Mhm.
Right. Um. So yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting.
Yeah, it has. And especially seeing how the game has evolved over the past 3 months or 4 months, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
You could also see the evolution of your stream, my stream, everybody else's stream
Right.
who streams it, and you can see how it like you see how these like the community is so very unique that in my perspective, everybody's so genuine, so nice. Um, I've every now and then you might hear something on Reddit, but
Oh
it's
God.
right. Like, but for the most part, all the streamers are like super
Uh,
nice, and I think you kind of streamhead that. Like, what do you think about the vibes that you give off to your stream and how that might
um.
trade the community?
So I've always, in terms of streaming, just been myself on stream, regardless of like what's going on. Like, obviously, some things I poke to try and get reactions for entertainment, right? But like on stream, when I'm interacting with viewers, I'm always myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
now in terms of comp play, like there's obviously like there's trash talk, right? But a lot of that's for stream.
Right.
Like I don't mean anything to spite anybody ever. It's super important that as a community, like we, especially with as small as this community is, it's important that we are nice to each other, and whether we get along or not, right, it's
Right.
important that bickering and things like that aren't just constant and out there, right?
Right.
Like um and I mean, I'm not a very confrontational person, so I just don't care to do all that. It's exhausting, right? So I've always just tried to be myself on stream. If you don't like me for who I am, whatever, I don't care, right? Like I don't want to get caught up in all your garbage. I'm just here to do my thing. So, and
Uh,
I hope that message has been conveyed pretty consistently with my stream and whatever, right?
I mean, I it's up to the chat, but for me, I get that because like when you're on stream, you have a select amount of energy, to play
Hmm.
the game and then talk to chat, and then when you have somebody who comes into chat tries to stir up the pot, you use up that energy to say, okay, hold on here, wait, hold
Right,
on,
right,
let's
right.
put a stop
Yeah,
sign here.
yeah.
All right, let's get to the start of streaming. So, what inspired you to start streaming? Because I remember you telling us earlier that like you weren't much of a social person growing up.
Right. Yeah, and it's always this has always been the one thing I'm like, man, what? Right? Like I never really understood it. I'd been watching like gaming YouTube since as long as I can remember, and then watching, bigger streamers as well growing up. And I guess I was just like, they're doing it. I could make money playing video games. That'd be awesome to have as a job. Let me do it. And so despite me being like antisocial still in person, like I struggle in person to like confidently interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of taught myself how to engage and be engaging and entertaining on stream. So it's been kind of interesting to learn that process, I guess.
And how far have you come since you starting the stream and to now? Uh,
Man, I am scared to go back through and watch those first streams. It's gotta be massive, right? Like, when I remember when I first started streaming, excuse me, I struggled to consistently keep talking and interacting with anybody that stopped in chat. And I'm sure you could scroll through Twitch and find any one viewer streamer and be like, yep, that's Scout when Scout first started streaming. Like the parallels are there, right?
right.
So um it really, a lot of it came from just I am obsessed with this. I want to be good at it. I want to turn this into a career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent hours and hours, like every single night, like after stream, watching, other content creators, figuring out how they engage with chat, how they engage with people, how they engage, with the game, and how they intertwine those two things. And then also trying to figure out ways that I can make my stream higher quality. Like,
Right.
this isn't something that I've treated as, let me just go live and see what happens. Like, every single night, I'm, okay, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? And
Mhm.
obsessing over it. You know, like it's an obsession rather than a hobby.
Right.
Um, and I think that has allowed it to prosper.
And you've it's that growth mindset that I'm hearing. It's not that
Right.
fixed mindset where you get on, you do your thing, and then you hop off, and then you wait for the next day. No, you're preparing
Right.
for the next stream by watching the stream that you did before, and kind of analyzing it
Right.
and figuring it out.
Yeah. It's always been about growing it and figuring out, what the best ways are to do that.
And that I I don't know about you, but I feel that competitive edge coming out right now. Like you were really.
Yeah, man, it's like it's I don't it's important to me, right? Like um I put my mind to it and I don't want it to fail. Like that's my and I know it's stupid, but I very strongly despise, I guess and it's I guess part of the competitive stuff that we're talking about, right? Like I don't like things that I've put time in not working out. And so
Right.
and I view my stream that way. Like I'm going to do what is necessary to make it work,
For sure.
regardless, right?
Absolutely.
Um
Do anything it
so
takes. And
yeah.
that's such a and again, like that's not even just streaming. Like I feel like that's more of that attitude of succeeding in life. You that concept of mentality to push yourself as far as you can go
Mhm.
is just kind of like a survival mechanism. Like I'm trying to stay out here. I'm trying to keep it going. Trying to
Right.
grow. Trying to.
Um and a lot of people like streaming is a lot of people view growth on Twitch and people that have tried streaming and have not had success doing it, they view it as luck.
Hmm.
And that makes me so mad
Right. Yep.
because I've put in I've got a few thousand hours live. I've put in double that off stream trying to grow it, right?
Hmm.
Like this isn't I don't, like growing on Twitch, maybe a little bit of luck, right? Like
Hmm.
finding where you need to be on Twitch. Maybe there's a little bit of luck there, but there's things you can do to increase those odds.
Right. You're
Um,
not basing everything on a viral video. You're basing it
right,
on
right,
actual
uh,
growth over time.
right. Yeah.
So, your first year streaming, what else was going on in your life?
College. I started
College.
streaming the same year I moved out for college.
Very interesting. And that was, that's two significant things happening at once. So, what
Hmm.
made you want to stream and start college?
I just figured it was the right time, man. Like I had before going up to college, I had been working, 30, 40 hours a week trying to save money to get a PC because I'd always played on console and I didn't want to stream on console. Although I had done it off and on, I wanted a nice streaming rig, high quality, where I could do, anything I wanted to do with my stream.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd saved up for a PC and I had gotten my PC like simultaneous with that.
Right.
Um, just because that was finally time and it was just kind of I don't know what about it made me want to start streaming, but that's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of when those pieces fell in place.
Did you build your own PC or you bought it?
I built it. This
You
is
built it. Okay.
mhm.
Okay. Perfect.
I think I put the water cooler upside down as well, so I just haven't changed it. It's been fun.
You get
But
that, the game Rat Trap or was it Mouse Trap? You get this very
yes,
complex thing.
mousetrap.
That's what you
Hmm.
got
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on your
yeah.
PC.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't know if I put it in upside down, but every time I look at it, I'm like, man, that looks like it's upside down. Whatever. um,
Maybe in a
so
year you'll go back to your PC and say,
yeah,
"Oh
I
well,
want to
shit."
build another custom rig so bad.
Right, like so streamers use two PCs, right? One for gaming, one for streaming. Is that
Hmm.
kind of what you're thinking about for
Yeah. If I built another PC, I would turn my current rig into just a dedicated stream PC.
right?
Just because there's no reason to sell it.
So you making this big commitment to go to college, and what did you major in college, by the way?
Criminal justice.
Criminal justice, interesting. Did you? What did you think about criminal justice?
I enjoyed it. Well, in college, honestly, I felt like it was really, really easy.
Hmm.
Um, I know other people that were studying it really struggled, but I've always kind of been, I guess, like a natural in like that kind of field. Like, I've always enjoyed, history and social studies, and then that
Hmm.
kind of extended into law.
Right.
I just picked it up. And a lot of it coming in, I had already kind of known because it's just been something I've been interested in for years, right? So like the introductory classes, it was like whatever, like okay, this is easy.
Could we see
So
could we see future Scout becoming a lawyer?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I don't want to go do the bar.
Yeah.
That's too much work. Yeah, I don't have money for that. So
High hopes, man. High hopes. uh okay, so when you started streaming, you started college and everything. What did your family and your friends think when you started off? What, like, I'm sure you passed on the idea to somebody. What was the
right, it was more so just like at that point I was doing it with it was a hobby at that point. Like I
Mhm.
got into it. I was like, okay, if I can get good at it, I'll take it more seriously then.
Okay.
And so it always been just like, whatever, nothing really serious.
Mhm.
I'm doing it just like a gym membership or whatever, right?
Mhm. Right.
Excuse me. So up until I did it for multiple months, and it got to the point to where I was like, okay, I am going to take a massive leap of faith. This is like
Mhm.
June, July, averaging 10 viewers probably. I was like, look, if I don't put pressure on myself to do this, it's never going to happen. So I straight up quit my
Right.
job. I quit my job. Didn't
Where
have any income outside of streaming, 10 average viewers. Quit my job.
where were you
Uh,
working?
I was working Domino's
Domino's.
40, 50 hours a week.
Mhm. Was that your
Um,
first job or?
no, I had worked jobs before that.
Okay.
That had just been the job then. So I quit my job, didn't have any money coming in outside of stream, and I was like, screw it, I'm making this work. And haven't worked since then up until now because I need some money for rent.
Mhm.
But outside of that, it's been, you know, just streaming all day, every day.
Yes, sir. You so in this journey between June and July and now, what have you kind of learned about, even going full time stream? What were some things that kind of stuck with you, uh, for like the near future if you wanted to try this again?
Um, I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to look back and see, like, okay, yeah. I mean, I've grown as a streamer, right? I've grown as a person since then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anything specific, it's hard to say, man.
Right.
Like, if I had to, restart streaming and restart the journey, I'm sure there's things that, I would carry over and things that I would change. I don't exactly know what those are.
How about goals? Has it changed your goals a little bit, or is it still the same?
Well, so I hit partner, which was the one goal. So
Mm-hmm.
now it's more focused, like, okay, I still need to grow, right? Like I'm nowhere near where I need to be or where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find ways to diversify my content. Like Squadrons is great, always going to be a Squadron streamer, but I need to
Right.
find ways that are potentially more lucrative that I can grow my stream as well,
So
rather than just
does that encompass using other social media platforms as well to kind of expanding growth and kind of push yourself forward?
yeah, yeah. I've always my weakest thing in terms of growth on Twitch was my usage of other social media platforms, and even still, that's my biggest. Like, I could be doing that way better and way more consistent than I do now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I really need to push myself to do. I just haven't quite done it yet.
Very cool. Yeah, and I'm sure you'll get to that. I'm sure you when you get that time and you see the motivation. Like sometimes a video is just sparked by intuition. Like you just,
Right.
hey, this video would be really cool to give to the public about, I'm sure interceptors or about, dogfighters compared to, OBJs or whatever it is. Like I'm sure like when you have that video or that idea of a video, it just comes naturally. Like you can do it, no problem. But when you're kind of like thinking really hard about that video that you feel
Mm.
like you need to post, like I feel like it's just very forced and like sometimes you might not get everything that you really want to or want to
Right. A
portray.
lot of a lot of the barrier for me to upload on YouTube, for example, and
Mm,
even this goes to like TikTok as well. Like I've wanted to do that for a while. A lot of it's just been nervous. I'm nervous. I'm scared to do it. I
right.
don't know why that is. Maybe it's linked back, and this is a poor excuse, whatever. But
Mm,
maybe it's linked back to like that antisocial bit. And like it's the similar thing when I first started streaming. I was always really scared to go live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's kind of that same anxiety, that same fear uploading to YouTube.
Do you, so when you post, so the video, you do have videos. So I want
Mhm.
everybody to know you do have videos on YouTube page. That motivation behind those videos was just kind of like get up and do it, or was
Right. Yeah. It was
yeah.
like, stop being stupid, break the ice, get something up. But it's even every time I sit down to record still, it's like, I don't want to do it. Like, just scared. I don't know why. It's stupid, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that fear lingers, man. If
It does,
anything,
dude. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
it makes you better, man. I mean, that fear, that anxiety, there, it's there. Even with that social, the antisocial perspective, you're still like, you know what, like it scares me the most, but this it's probably because like I know this is such a good idea, but I have to like hit this as best as possible. I have to be perfect in all platforms. So
Yeah, I think a lot of it could just be that the floor for entry on YouTube is way higher than it is on Twitch
mm,
in terms of like what is acceptable production quality and things like that. And there's a lot to learn, and it can be overwhelming, just
mm,
like streaming, right? Like there's a lot to learn going into streaming. There's a lot to learn when you start uploading videos to YouTube in order to do it successfully and efficiently, right?
mm.
And I don't know. I guess that could be part of it, right?
We'll actually later on we'll get into like kind of like a message from you to like new gamers and new streamers. So you could probably touch on that a little bit if you'd like. So here's these two questions are very interesting. This kind of goes basis on what I want to take for research later on. But did you have an idea of how you would fit in as a streamer when you started streaming?
I didn't actually. I went into this totally blind, and I was like, I'll find my way. I
Right.
didn't want like I know some people like there's I guess quote unquote archetypes, right? Like you got people who betray characters, people who are themselves,
Mm-hmm.
like really entertaining people that are really good at games. I didn't know where I would fall along that. All I knew that was that I wanted to play video games. I wanted to build a community. Everything else will fall in place. And I've kind of slowly like danced between each of them, and I've kind of landed, mostly going to be myself, going to interact with chat. Like chat is the focus of my stream.
Mm,
I just happen to be really good at squadrons, so I've lumped that in with everything else.
very cool. And so now that you've gotten your own footing and you gotta have your own niche, um, do you ever feel like you don't deserve the love of your chat or your community?
In terms of that, it's always been like not that I don't deserve it, but that I really appreciate the time they spend watching my content.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could be using that time anywhere else doing any number of things. The fact that they decide to use it to watch my content is very inspiring, I
Mm-hmm.
guess is the right word there. Like, I really appreciate that they take time out of their day to spend time with me in my chat.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't necessarily, there's nothing I could do to deserve that time. They have to assign that value themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and they have decided to do that. And I am forever thankful that they have done
It sounds very like you pretty much had that. That was a very quick response. For most people, it's like, well, like they have to think about it for a second. But it seems like you've rationalized that very well, like to the point. It's like, well, I'm just gonna do me. You guys do you. And we're all here together. Let's have fun. Like,
Right, like I talk about it pretty consistent. Like once a week, I'm like, man, like you guys are crazy. I appreciate you guys being here. Like you
mm,
guys don't have to be here. Like this is a conversation that I've had consistently with my viewers on Twitch. So, um,
is there anything?
again, it's just like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off,
no,
but
no, no.
it's
Go
just
ahead.
like,
No, this is your
um,
interview.
it's just I don't know. Like I enjoy them, or I'm thankful that they decide to take part in what is like my dream. Right.
Yeah. And your dream kind of elapses what they want from a streamer, right? It seems like there is
Right.
um, a combination of interest here, and
Right, right.
yeah.
I have tried my best to assign value to these things that I am doing, and they have, for whatever reason, decided, yeah, this is worth some time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess that.
Um, I want to go back to kind of how you like internalize things, right? I want to
Uh-huh.
know kind of like how you mediate. So when you are okay, so let's kind of like fast forward here. So say it's tomorrow and we're in Cal Cup day 2, right?
Okay.
How do you internalize that stress of
You
performing,
like you're talking.
of
Uh,
performance at your highest peak? What is that like?
Man, it's if I fly good, I fly good. If I fly bad, I fly bad. I've got my team. A lot of it in terms of competitive squadrons is team based, right? Like it's a
Mm,
team game. We have the mentality of we're going to succeed as a team, we're going to fail as a team.
mm,
Whether Brunis, Finkar, Jareen, if they shit the bed, we failed
mm,
as a team. It's not their fault.
right.
Like as a team, we didn't execute what we needed to execute, and that extends to me as well. Like obviously, I'll be like, okay, I had a rough game. We didn't get it done. There's things I can do to improve. It's never stress. It's always look. We're gonna succeed as a team. We're gonna fail as a team. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out what didn't work, what went wrong, how we can
Mm-hmm.
improve upon it. It's always from the perspective of we're improving ourselves, we're improving our gameplay. Wins are going to happen, losses are going to happen. We accept those. Let's do what we can do, what's in our control,
Mm-hmm.
and go from there. So it's never really been stress. And if you're talking like in terms of, oh, there's X amount of people watching, like I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to have an impact on the way I play my game. Like, obviously, I would like to win or whatever in front of 150, 200 people, however many people may be watching during tournament. But is it going to happen? I don't know. It's hard to win in comp. So if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Doesn't really matter.
That's that's very unique mindset to have a collectivist mindset, right? Like, sure, if we win, that's great. We all win. But if we lose, we lose together. And like, when we see competitive players, they have their own streams and they do their own thing. So they take a lot of responsibility for themselves, and then I don't really see most teammates, blaming other teammates. But what I do see is a lot of that blame, and it seems like it's all shared and it's collective. So that's a very unique kind of perspective because you're kind of relying on other people to like feel the same way you're feeling. Like the team has like this unilateral type of mindset. Like this is how we should do it. And this is one thing that I've noticed after usually like a scrim or something competitive. I noticed you say, "All right, what did we do right? What did we do wrong?" That's the first question I always hear.
Right. Like, and so it's important to remember, right? Like, we could be just bullying ourselves into winning. Like, we could
Mm-hmm.
do that, right? We could just, whatever, 40 hours a week, like, bust our ass. We're going to win regardless.
Mm-hmm.
There is not enough money in this game to justify that decision.
Right.
Everybody, I'm the only exception probably in 99.99% of the community. Everybody on my team is an adult. They have jobs, they have lives outside of squadrons, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is important to me, as quote unquote, I've set up Splinter. It's important to me that they're having fun on top of everything else, regardless of competition,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they're not having fun in competition and we're winning, it doesn't matter. If they're having fun and we're winning a lot of games, but we're losing some games, that's what matters.
Actually,
Um,
you bring up my next point. I was going to ask you a little bit about Splinter and the origins of Splinter, but I feel like you were
mhm.
about to say something, so I
Okay,
apologize. But
so in terms of setting up Splinter, it was like, okay, I play squadrons. I would like to have a competitive squad. I want to fly competitively. Let's set up Splinter. And it has kind of grown itself to function similarly to like a gaming org, I guess, which is
mm-hmm.
weird. Like I could take that next step potentially and try to turn it into that. I have not done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't found the time. But that's a step I've been thinking about pursuing, like adding other communities into Splinter, turn it into Splinter Gaming, and seeing what that journey looks like, right? But
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, it's a community intertwined with my stream and intertwined with, I guess, the rest of the Squadrons community.
Right.
And
And
that's kind of
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
grown itself more so than me like actively growing it, which is cool.
What do you think were kind of like the ingredients to that growth? Do you think?
Um, a lot of it has been because of, I guess, my role in terms of squadrons on Twitch and the competitive community. That has fueled a lot of that. It's a place for, people, and it's, quote unquote, just another squadrons Discord. Like, that's the meme, right?
Right.
Um, but it's a place where scrims are organized, teams are talking to each other, people are interacting with each other, and now it's intertwined with my stream, but not only my stream, other squadrons content creator streams. Like, it alerts when other Splinter content creators go live, things
Mhm.
like that. So it's slowly becoming a social hub, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, Splinter is a lot more advanced than a lot of actually the squadrons communities out here. I'd feel like because of that social media like boom. Like I like when I see Splinter now, I see Fenkar now, I see Innocent, I see all these other
Right.
people, and a lot of that is that team that was designed. So that seems like a very good point for a lot of other streamers that are just trying to like find a way to grow. Is well, it's really having a team, having that competitive team, and having them kind of like go through this filtration system. Right, here's another person, here's another person in the squad,
Mhm.
here's another person in the squad. So that's
Right, right.
we that's that's actually kind of new to me as well, is seeing that how teams can impact really your stream for the most.
Right, right. Like, and again, it goes back to, there's just like squadrons is a game. Everybody in this community is like an adult for the most part, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
people have lives outside of this. Let's not take ourselves too seriously, right?
For
Like,
sure.
it's important that I help out other people when I can help out other people, and that's a way that people have spent time watching my stream. That have joined that Discord. I can use that to help out other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I guess, part of the goal.
If squadrons had an influx of numbers, so there was
Hmm.
a lot more people interested in the game, everything in the game works correctly, and and everything is la di da. Do you think that would change uh, everybody's intentions for the game? For in reckon to streamers streaming the game. Do you think that would change their
um,
mindset?
my goal has always been stream first, squadrons second, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what happens to squadrons, I have to do what's best for my stream. So, say
Absolutely.
there's whatever, like $1 million tournament, several thousand people trying to get into this tournament or whatever, however you want to put it. It
Right.
doesn't matter, right? Like, I'm not going to sacrifice what is important to me, what is important to the rest of the people on my squad, the rest of the people in Splinter, the rest of the people in my stream to, go all out and win that tournament, because it doesn't matter. What matters is my stream,
Right.
right? So I'm always going to make decisions based on that. What is best for my stream? My stream comes before, winning a stupid tournament, right?
And there's a lot, I feel this love for your community, like for your stream specifically. Have you found that, and this is a question towards yourself, but it seems like this is kind of like a question over time, but have you seen um your the persona that you portray on stream, does that like line up with your true self? Is that kind of like
I try my best to be as close to myself as possible. Like, this stream is an outlet for me to, while it is, part of my income and my job at the moment, right? Like,
mm,
it's important that it is also used as an escape. And I don't want people to watch the stream for, whoever Scalp is. I want them to watch for me. And that has been important to me. And I've tried, even through playing squadrons. Like, a regular stream for me is not, let me teach squadrons. It's, I'm going to play squadrons, teach it a little bit, but also I'm just going to interact with chat and be myself and goof
mm,
off or whatever the heck. And that has been my stream, from day one, right? Like,
right? You
I'm
want
going to sell myself to people, and if they decide that that is, worth their time, they're having fun or whatever, they're going to stick around. Um, so.
Have you seen your persona changing over time since when you started streaming? I know that we talked.
Maybe becoming more animated, but really it's just like, I've got confidence streaming. Like, I know what I'm doing now. I'm allowed to be more open. I'm not as reserved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like my persona has been changing. It's more that I am able to show more and more of myself on stream
Right. Has
due
it?
to
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
just due to me like doing it over time. The nerves are no longer there, whatever,
Mhm.
right? Um,
Has streaming allowed you to figure out a couple things about yourself that you didn't know?
um, that's an interesting question. I want to say yeah. Like I spent so much of my time doing this. I'm sure there's been parts of me that have been added because of streaming and because of my interaction with X amount of people every day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, yes, I couldn't tell you specifically what that is, but I'm almost positive that's happened.
You'll think about it off stream. You'll be
Right,
like, yo,
right, right.
Poi really.
I'll get back. I'll DM you. I'm like, yeah, man.
All right, man. Let's talk about the future. This is the last section of our interview. You're
Okay.
doing great so far, man. I appreciate all the enthusiasm
Nah,
and
man. Thank you
especially
for
your
having me,
time.
dude.
So, let's talk about goals. So, what your aspirations, right?
Uh
What
huh.
in the next year? What are some aspirations you're thinking about for the stream?
For the stream, so I've been looking at other games releasing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Squadron's future is uncertain, and that is the biggest question mark on my stream, on my content, things like that, in
Right.
terms of what is the next step. And I'm not quite sure what that answer is, but I know for me to be secure financially, I've got to hit, a certain amount of like a certain sub number every month. These things have to happen in order for me to do this without needing a side job.
Right.
And those are the goals I have for my future. And within a year, all things considered, hopefully I can get there, but who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy thing to do for a living. It's not stress free. There is things that are out of my control that I have no direct control over, in order to get to that point. Like some things have to fall in the right place to get to that point. We'll see what happens,
What
right?
would be those things that do you think that would
Just in
have to line
terms
up?
of like I can do my thing on stream every day. I can put content out in other places.
Mm-hmm.
People have to decide that yeah, this is worth their time and decide that they want to support it. And it's my job to sell that as best as I can, and I feel like I do a good job.
Yeah.
But I can't make people decide, yeah, I want to stick around. So that's on them to decide. Stream's got some growing to do, but there are
Mm-hmm.
things I can do on other social media platforms that would help. That would help again, like we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
increase those odds, right?
Right.
That's on me to do, like consistent YouTube content, things like that.
Let's
But
say let's say everything does fall into place. How about in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you see? Just spitballing out here.
in the next 3 to 5 years, I could really see it happening. Again, it's on me to continue to do what I do and do my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the dream, right? Like stream is bigger now than I ever thought it was going to be. I came into squadrons with 10, 15, 20 average viewers. Then it went to 30, 40. Then it, 50, 60, set now at 70 to 90, right?
Right.
When I first started streaming, never expected it to get to this point. So, if this happens in a year, what does 5 years look like, right?
Right.
Um, it's all exponential, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's fun.
things are gonna happen. I try not to. So sorry, I don't mean to keep
No,
rambling
no,
on. I
no.
try
It's
not.
all good. This is all. This
I
is
try
what's
not to put
about.
numbers on it, right? Like putting
Right.
numbers on it is setting yourself up for disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna ruin that mental state that is necessary. Like this is not easy, right? And so if
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, by March I need 400 subs, I need X amount of followers, I need X amount of viewers, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be able to continue doing this,
Right.
right? Like it's just not gonna happen because the expectations that I'm gonna set for myself are unachievable within the amount of time that I would set them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for me to just continue doing it, see what happens. Like I've got ballpark numbers, but nothing that I'm like, if this doesn't happen by this, then what the heck, right?
Right.
Like it'll grow as it grows, it'll fall as it falls. It's on me to do what I can to keep that within control, but ultimately a lot of it is out of my control
And
at this point.
this is important. Like this is like this question is very important, and your answer in response is very important because other streamers watching they want to know what is my mindset going to be like in 3 to 5 years. Like what are my goals and my aspirations? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to stay away from? Like there's the future has so many different paths that you can take, and again that goes along with the games that you definitely choose to kind of pursue in response to maybe squadrons and other games that you might try out first. But like this is something that's not going to go away. But
Right.
this the reason why I want to pick your brain on this because you have such a growth mindset that like I feel like you have a lot that's growing for the stream and a lot growing for you that you
Mhm.
probably have a list for yourself.
Right. Like, hang on, just a second. Let's put a pin in this. I have to pee so bad.
Yeah,
I'm about to like explode. Keep my chat entertained. I'll be right back.
I got you. I got you. Very interesting conversation, guys. I think Scalp is hashtag bursting with enthusiasm. No, but like no, this is very interesting for a lot of you streamers out there that are watching. We want to know like what am I gonna think about when a year from now, 2 years from now, what do I want to see in my stream? Do I want to keep playing the same game? Am I playing for entertainment? Am I playing for business purposes? I don't know. Shit. I'll tell you what though. Most of the people that I've asked actually have that aspect of social anxiety that kind of chimes in, and that anxiety kind of branches out. Okay, well, I've mastered this. Where do I move from here? Where do I go?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Did you
I'm
wash?
back.
Did you wash your hands?
I did not. Um.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's in terms of like growth, right? All I again, and this is just I'll reiterate, like all I can do is control myself. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important that I do everything I can to put myself in the best situation possible to grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've got ideas for where I want to be. And so far, I mean, those ideas, I try to look at it regardless of the growth, regardless of what's going on. I am, super thankful that I'm in the position that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm going to keep doing my thing. Like, I would like to hit triple digit, quadruple digit viewer numbers. Like, everybody who starts streaming wants to get to that point, right?
Right.
Like, that's no surprise to anybody anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
All I can do is put myself in the best possible position to succeed, and hopefully I can continue doing that, right?
Right.
Like anything can happen, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's on me to continue to take it one step at a time, not get ahead of myself, because that's the worst thing that could happen
Mm-hmm.
in terms of overall growth.
And this is going on off stream when you proliferate like ideas, when you come up with new ideas to like add to the stream and new content for the stream. This is all stuff you like. This is you might have an idea that pops up in your head while you're gaming, like, and you're streaming, and you're like, oh shit, that might be a good idea, or somebody might mention it, but like a lot of that is going behind the scenes. Like behind the scenes, you're thinking about ideas that are like, oh, well, this actually would have been a great idea. Like, because you're watching your stream, you're analyzing it, you're trying to find other
Mm-hmm.
ideas. But then you're also at the same time, you're like, oh, well, this would actually be a good idea for the next stream is doing this, and that, and the other, right?
Right, yeah. Like most of my stream decisions, like sometimes I'll just, I'll get an idea and I'll do it without much thought and I'll see whether or not that works. I'll do like some science while I'm live, see what happens, see how people react to it, and then it's very easy to make those decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's easy for me to think about something and be like, yeah, that's a good fit. No, that's not a good fit. Um, and then a lot of times I just straight up I ask chat, I'm like, do you guys think this is a good idea? And if they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, we'll try it out. If they're like, no, that sounds stupid, we won't do it, right? Because like again, it doesn't really matter what I like in terms of my stream. Well, it's important that I'm having fun. Okay, that sounds bad. It does matter what I like in terms of attitude and content, but if the viewers aren't vibing with it, that's what matters mostly, right? I can think something's a good idea and they just absolutely hate it, and if they absolutely hate it, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And that's
It's
the
is that like a collective decision? Like if the majority of the stream says it's not worthy, right, then you take it away. But if it's just a few people, then you're like, well, this is still viable for others.
Yeah, and I've done like so more recently. It's like, okay, would you guys be interested in X game, right? And I'll run a poll.
Hmm.
And for the most part, people are, I think a lot of the people that continue to watch, just despite a lot of things, are people that don't care what I play.
Hmm.
So, things like that. It's hard to gauge. But typically, it's I can, do something live and in terms of stream, be like, okay, yeah, that was a good fit. That felt fine,
Hmm.
right? Like I ran ads in between games for a bit. I just didn't like doing it. So I stopped. Whether or not that was good for the stream or not, who knows? It doesn't matter. I didn't like doing it.
Right.
Um, so, and that's always kind of how I try to approach new additions to stream.
What about your schedule in the near future? Do you see that changing at any time? Because that
Um,
affects the stream, right?
right. I've been streaming on the schedule for months. So like I got a new job. I'm
Right.
starting, in a few days. So I've got that job schedule around my stream schedule. It is very
Hmm.
important to me that I don't interrupt the consistency that I've got going.
Hmm.
Now outside circumstances are going to happen. Like we didn't have great power for a bit, so I just wasn't able to
Right.
stream. Got sick, wasn't able to stream. But like for the most part, in terms of exterior factors affecting my stream schedule is non-negotiable.
So
Everything else has to fall around that.
when you were thinking about jobs and you were just kind of applying around, that was kind of like priority one, right? Was the stream first, and
Right.
then
Absolutely.
hours for
Yes.
your
Uh
job.
huh. Right.
Very,
Right.
very interesting. So you're scheduling like things behind the scenes really towards the stream, even
Right.
more
Uh huh.
than people
And
know.
this even happens in like my relationship with my girlfriend, right?
Hmm.
Like we're thinking, if we want to do something, I'm like, okay, well, this is my stream schedule. I really don't want to miss a stream day. And if I've gone, like 3 months without missing a stream, whatever, I can miss one stream for a bit.
Hmm.
But like if I've been sick, if I had to take this X stream off for whatever reason, I'm like, no, I cannot miss another stream. I don't care. Like
Hmm.
we've got to work it around that.
Have you
And so
seen?
we spend.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Start. Nope.
I was
Nope.
just gonna say, like my 2 days off, right? Like I'll spend with her, but
Hmm.
if you want to do something on stream, like it's probably not gonna happen, right?
Right.
Like on a stream day, like we got Sundays, we got Wednesdays, those are our days, right? Like for now.
When you started
Um,
dating her, did she know you were a streamer?
we started dating before I started streaming, so
Hmm.
we were together 2 years, and then I was like, I'm gonna start streaming, and she's been watching streams since day one, so.
And she has no problem with this. She's completely cool with the schedule. She gets the
Yes.
routine.
Yeah, right. We don't live together at the moment, so
Hmm.
I mean, it does like we don't see each other a lot, right? So
Right.
that's sucks for both of us.
Hmm.
But she understands the reasons, she understands the end goal, um,
Hmm.
and she's working a lot during my stream times anyway. Like my stream time is her work time, right? Like she's at work right now,
Right.
because I'm at work right now too, right?
Right.
So it's kind of we've talked about it, we've worked the schedule, and that's part of the reason it's not negotiable is because we collectively have worked the schedule to fit both of us, right?
Right.
So
That word, man, it's branching into every sector of your life, dude. Like I like this is why I wanted to
uh,
do interviews like this cuz like there's
right.
certain tendencies that just there's it's actually a lot more expansive than anybody
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes or actually watching the stream or thinking,
Right,
right?
right.
That collective mindset is used in a lot of parts of your life.
Right, right, right.
Um,
Yeah. Well, like if you're doing things like this stream does not affect only me, it affects her too.
right.
So it's important that those decisions are made by both of us.
Hmm.
And the same thing goes for Splinter. Like Splinter, the way our team mentality is, it doesn't just affect me, it doesn't just affect them, it affects all of us. So we all have equal say in that, right? Like, I've flown Tight Interceptor since day one. The Defender comes out and everybody's flying Defender. I'm like, look, I'm not flying the Defender. And they're like, okay, Scalp's not flying the Defender. What can we do to work around that, right?
Hmm.
So, when multiple people are involved, it's important that, everybody has a say in what is going on in terms of that within control, right? Like I can't just come in to Splinter and be like, no, look, this is what we're doing. I don't care what you guys say because that's terrible, right?
Right.
Like again, this is a game. These people are adults. They have jobs. They're just be like, no, Scout, you're stupid. fuck off. Like that's not how you can't do those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's important that everybody, this is a hobby for all of them. It's a job for me, but it's not a job for them. So their opinions arguably are more important than my opinion.
Right.
And
It's
that's how I view it.
it's
Right.
not like I am the Senate. It's
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Basically. Right. 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 Like it's important that their opinions are taken into consideration and they feel heard. Because if they don't feel heard, I'm not doing my job
Mhm.
right. Like I'm failing at that point. So
I like that, and I'm sure. Do you think that everybody in Splinter feels the same way, that they feel heard and understood? And
I would hope so.
mhm.
I haven't had any discussions with anybody saying otherwise. So at the moment, I assume, yeah, we're all on the same page heading into Cal Cup. So that's cool.
So
Um,
in the future, how might you take? So how might you improve on your self care and practicing mindfulness and any future mental health issues? You think?
I would say that the biggest issue facing me and facing the stream is burnout. Not that I'm burned out at the moment, but that I do this, 6 to 8 hours, 5 days a week. And
Mm-hmm.
even when I'm not streaming on Wednesdays and Sundays, I'm thinking of thinking of ways to improve the stream. I'm on social medias, right? Like, I don't take enough time off.
Right.
I don't need to take a lot of time off, but I don't, when those opportunities are there, I don't like, hey, let me just, zone out for a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still focused on the stream and the growth. And part of that is because I'm not in a situation where I'm comfortable with the stream. I
Mm-hmm.
am still like, this needs to be growing. Like, let's figure out a way to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not, that is a good thing or a bad thing, it is the way I am. And there's probably not much I can do about it outside of just changing myself, right?
Right.
So if I burn out, I burn out, whatever. I'll get over it. That's kind of the way I look at it, whether, that's flawed or whatever, right? Um, so
And you have your own internal process for getting over something, right? Like, say, okay, so let me ask you this. So, for burnout means that you're just getting tired, right? But
right.
there's also that aspect of failure. So, what does failure mean to you?
Um, I take this very personally in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like my stream and how my stream is doing. That is a personal reflection, or I view it as a reflection of myself
Mm-hmm.
and how I'm doing, right? So if my stream is failing, it means I am failing to engage. I'm failing to provide people with a positive experience, and that's not okay. I need to figure out ways to fix that in terms of, hey, I could potentially burn out doing this. I view that as a necessary risk in order to reach the success that I want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's a small price to pay in my opinion. Like I would rather put in 8 hours every single day, 8 to 10 hours every single day
Mm-hmm.
to get this to where it needs to be, and maybe I get tired for a week, whatever. Like the end goal justifies the means.
Right.
It justifies being, non-negotiable with stream schedule. It justifies, the hours like off stream that I'm trying to find ways to grow the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that is worthwhile, if it succeeds. And if it fails, well, it just can't fail, so it's not going to.
Mm-hmm.
That's like it cannot fail. I've put this amount of time in it already. I'm going to put, this time or more into it going forward. I won't let it, right? And that's kind of how I view
It seems like not like an all or nothing, but it seems like your goal is kind of mediate your mental health in some perspectives.
it. Right,
Yeah.
right. And I don't know how other people approach streaming or whatever. I don't really care how other people approach streaming. I'm going to do it the way that I feel like I should do it in the way that I feel like is best for my stream.
Mm-hmm.
And best for, you know, I guess my own financial stability. But also, like, this doesn't just affect me. This very soon also affects, my girlfriend and
Mm-hmm.
any potential kids that I have in the future if I continue to do this. So, because of that, because it doesn't just apply to me, I can't let it fail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am not going to let it. If that means, 80 hours a week, I'm going to do 80 hours a week to make it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
get to where it needs to be. So,
That builds up a lot of stress. Is there something outside the stream that you might be proud? So, outside of gaming and streaming, is there something else for self-care that you're practicing? I know that you
I mean,
said,
I've got like other hobbies, like
yeah.
I play war games, things like that. Mountain biking, working out. Like I've got other things that I do outside of stream. And while streaming may be stressful,
Mhm.
and there are things about this that are stressful, it's good stress. It's stress that means that I'm doing something right and that I'm in the right position and consistently putting myself in the right positions. Because if I'm not stressed about it, then it's not growing.
Mhm.
It's arguably, worse, right? So the stress is more so a stress of, let's keep it going,
Mhm.
right? And I don't know, it's a good kind of pressure for me.
This is kind of a random question, but do you have any siblings?
I have two siblings, yes,
You have
both
two,
younger,
you have, you have a sister or brother?
two brothers.
Two brothers. Are you the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, you're the oldest? Oh, what's that like?
Um, I don't. In my mind, it's been typical. It's been, I've got two brothers. They're annoying sometimes. Sometimes they're not annoying. Whatever.
Mhm.
I feel like we do things together. We, play games together when I'm not streaming or whatever.
Mhm.
We play, war games together, things like that. So
You know
I
what they
guess it's been kind of typical.
You know what they say about the older brother? The younger brothers always have a hit out for you. So anytime you're gaming, man, they're going for the win.
Always, always, always.
All right,
So
man. So we're coming down to the last question, and this goes towards novice streamers and gamers out there. So,
okay.
Big Brother Scalp, let us get into it. So for gamers, so kids that are like 3, 4 years old, 5 years old. I know it's hard to teach them things, but you might have one up your sleeve. What is like something you would tell them about gaming, um, and like as a gamer, these are the things you should know.
Um, the biggest thing, like, have fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the purpose of it. It doesn't matter if you're not having fun. Play what interests you, regardless of what everybody else is doing, and that applies just to life, right? Like,
Right.
do what you enjoy doing.
So
Um,
having fun in gaming, what does that mean?
it means whatever that person thinks it means, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy, this type of game. I enjoy being competitive. I enjoy pushing myself to the limit. They may not enjoy that, right? So it means whatever they want it to mean,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's, playing games casually, playing games super seriously.
Right. Figure out your own schedule, right? That
Right,
that
right,
works for you, and don't, try to figure it out outside of what other people think or what other people are doing.
right, right.
Right. What about a streamer? For a new streamer, I'm pretty relatively
Uh,
new.
it's the same advice I tell people when they're looking to get into streaming. I tell them to check their expectations at the door, check their egos at the door, because it's not easy, right? Especially for people that want to turn it into a job. Like, it will live or die by their work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
As any eh, self any business, any venture in life will live or die by the amount of work you're willing to put into it and how you carry yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, put in the time to learn how to do it. Put in the time to learn how to engage people. And if it doesn't work out and you're fine with that, you're fine with that. But if you want it to work out, you have to obsess over it. It has to be an obsession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a hobby. It's not, for fun at that point. If you want to turn it into something, you have to obsess over it. That's the only way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you're not going to go anywhere doing this if you're doing it for fun. And that's it. And if you're getting into streaming for fun, absolutely totally fine. If you want to turn it into a job, while you have to have fun doing it, you have to obsess over it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't fold. You're
Right.
like, okay, well, you know, my girlfriend doesn't want me to stream, and maybe you value that over you wanting to stream, right? But if
Mm-hmm.
this is something that you want to do, you have to be obsessed with it and you have to dive head first. That's the only way.
Right. And that means that, and this goes along with content creation, right? When you're creating stuff, you have to just find a way to make it happen. And that
Right.
there's a lot that goes to it. Like finding a way to make it happen means like having the right apps, having the right, kind of focus on what your video wants to be, what you want your video to be, or what you want your profile to look like, or whatnot. But it's really your image, right? What it's like art for the most part. You're painting a picture, and
Right.
you want every piece of detail to be perfect. Some nature.
It's like the perception for getting into streaming is skewed for people that want to turn it into a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are so many people that are able to do this as a job successfully, and people that have blown up, like Ninja, Doctor Disrespect, people like that people look at and are like, oh, I can do that. And I was one of those people. I got into streaming, absolutely no idea what I was getting into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's important that if you want to get into streaming, you have realistic expectations. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure. Like if you get into this, and you're like, I'm turning this into a job, but you're not willing to put in the time that is required to do that, it's not going to work out for you. And those are the people that think streaming is all luck.
I think that's a really good point. You said have realistic expectations, right? And this kind of goes with the question I asked about what did you think? Where do you think you would fit in as a streamer? Like you have these expectations to being, the a ninja or a Doctor Disrespect, but again, like they have their niche, and then you come to this point where every streamer comes to this point. What is my niche? What is my persona I'm portraying? What do I want to portray as, like as a streamer? What do I want my community to become? So.
Right. And like I look at it and the way, and I don't know, maybe this is just the way that I view success in anything.
Mhm.
Like people getting into professional sports have devoted their life to getting into professional sports. An NFL player did not pick up, football last year college. They have spent their entire childhood, their entire young adulthood trying to get to that point to make that
Mhm.
happen. Streaming is no different. This is, the market for streaming is super saturated, you know.
Mhm.
Like you have to be able or willing to outwork every other streamer on the platform.
Mhm.
Willing to do things that they won't do, willing to carry it to places they won't carry it, right?
Mhm.
Uh, you have to have that work ethic. And this applies to anything like starting your own business, getting into professional sports, you know,
Mhm.
everything in life, right? Like if you don't have that work ethic to drive it to where it needs to go, it's not going to succeed, right? And that's
Mhm.
fine, right? Maybe that energy is put somewhere else, but if you're not willing to put it towards streaming and you want to turn streaming into a job, just don't do it. Do it
Right.
for fun, which is really fine. And you'll have success doing it for fun. Like I know people that have had moderate success on Twitch just doing it for fun. And that's totally fine. That's a totally reasonable way to do it. But strictly in terms of I want to be successful on Twitch, you have to do everything in your power to make that happen. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Right. It's a mindset. It's either it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. You can't
Right,
you can't
right,
pick one or the other. It's do or do not. There is no try.
right. You,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and obviously, like this is just my opinion formed by my experiences.
Mhm.
You can't have that. Let me see what happens. Right. I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna stream League of Legends, and I'm gonna grow. Because no, you're not. You're not. If you start streaming League of Legends, you're not gonna grow. I don't care. I don't care what you got to find other ways. Like
So.
if you want to go live, playing League, there are other things that you have to do outside of streaming.
Mhm. So for somebody who feels like they are good at League, and say they're top notch jungler, maybe a really good support, somebody with a little bit of skill going into whatever the bracket of streaming is, because we know it's saturated market when you come into a category of games and there's like over like 1,000 people streaming this game. What would you say to those people who are, they might have, they might be diamond ranked and they're going to start
Right.
streaming?
Uh, like the way to grow in saturated categories is to grow outside of Twitch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's just straight up, right? Like I got, and this goes back to, some things are lucky, but I also put myself in this position, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got in on Squadrons day one, 24-hour stream day one Squadrons. I have put in the time to become one of the best players in the game. I've streamed
Mm-hmm.
Squadrons 5 days a week on Squadrons release, so I filled a niche that wasn't already filled.
Right.
Not everybody has that opportunity. I'm very fortunate for that opportunity, right? And it has worked out for me.
Mm-hmm.
But to go into a community that is already saturated, you have to find ways to separate yourself from the pack. Whether that's, becoming a professional player, which is not easy to do in markets like that with thousands of, tens of thousands of people streaming it,
Mm-hmm.
right? That growth has to come from somewhere. So you do things on YouTube, you do things on other social medias, right? That may not necessarily be related to League, but that are going to get eyeballs on you as a content creator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you direct that to Twitch. Like that's you're not gonna grow on League if you're trying to stream League, unless you're simply the best of the best, right?
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for squadrons, I mean, there's such, with the game status right now, growing in this game, there's a limit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the skill cap and the community behind it, they appreciate that. They appreciate that skill cap and whatnot, but they also appreciate the content that comes out for the game because there's not a lot. I see Avenger and I see you coming out with videos and Fenkar and everybody coming out with something, and that gives people something to watch, right?
Right.
For a game that doesn't get that much love and that has a small competitive community. Do you see that, the community that isn't competitive and the community that is competitive, do you see them intermingling, or do you see kind of like a separation of the two?
It's a little bit of both, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
with and I use Rocket League as an example for squadrons a
Okay.
lot of the time, right? People that get into Rocket League, while they might start playing it casually, they will get to a point where they want to start taking it more seriously, and that's where they start mingling with the competitive community a little bit in terms of content and learning how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Squadrons is similar, right? Like if
Right.
I want to boot up the game, play an hour of fleet battles, whatever, I'll boot up the game, play an hour of fleet battles. But it's gonna get to that point if I keep playing. We're like, okay, let me, get better at the game, and that's when those people start interacting with the competitive community, and that's only gonna grow as the game gets more popular, if it gets more popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I am in a position where like in my mind, I live or die by squadrons. So
Right.
it's important to me that the I portray squadrons to the best of my ability. I be honest about the game for people trying to get into the game, level their expectations about what to anticipate, whether that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Squadrons going on Game Pass. Hopefully that's good for the game, right? And it's important. And this goes back to the whole Splinter thing. I am one of the most visible competitive players on the game.
Mm-hmm.
During comp, people are stopping by my stream. I think I got up to 260 people in stream, last Cal Cup,
Very cool.
right? Like it's important that those people see the game at that level and see people having fun doing it, win or loss.
I,
Because if they see people that are, bitching and moaning, like, oh, the defender's broken, right? Like, they're not going to want to get into the game. They're not going to want to interact with the community. If
mm,
they, see people that are having fun either way, they're more likely to get involved, right? So I've kind of set Splinter's expectations alongside that.
that's good. And I don't plan on streaming tomorrow. I am 1,000% focused on Cal Cup, but you are the one stream. Like even when I watch you and you're in a scrim, you're casually playing. It seems like it's really a part of your character and
Right.
just who you are.
Right. So, and that's why I don't like streaming with delay, even a tournament. Like,
Yeah.
if, you know, this team wants to watch us and stream snipe, that's on them. That's the mental decision they have made. That moral decision has been made for them.
Hmm.
Right. Most people aren't going to do that. And most people that even do that, we're going to beat anyway. So it doesn't matter. Right. Like, we may
Hmm.
lose against an equal skill team that's doing that. Whatever. It's fine. As long as people are getting that content from a streamer that knows what they're doing. I like to think I know what I'm doing anyway.
Right.
That's the most important thing, and that's what's best for the community,
It sounds.
rather than
Yeah.
me not streaming it. Like, me streaming it and losing is better than me not streaming it at all.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're more about the community than just personal glory or even collective team glory. Like you just want people to come in and see the game for the first time or like really experience it through your eyes. And even if you do
Right.
lose or you have a bad game or whatever, that's okay because you have a community that's like, yo, this is actually kind of lit. Like I want to be like I want to be a scalp, like I want to be an avenger. I want to be somebody who is talented at this game and puts the time into this game and could potentially compete in in this game.
Right.
So
A lot of that is like, if I'm looking out for myself, where am I gonna get? Nowhere. It doesn't matter,
right.
right? Like I could, me looking out for the community does more for me than me looking out for myself, and I apply that everywhere in life, right? That's not just me being, streamer, right? That's just me, right? Like it's more important to me that, you know,
Hmm.
my stream helps promote squadrons in a positive light, right? Like I've intertwined my stream with squadrons so much so that community success equals my success. And I view that as a good thing, right? Like if the squadron's community grows, my stream will grow alongside it. If it falls, my stream's gonna fall alongside it, but I'll find the next pivot step and I'll do it again,
I
right?
like that, right? Because
That's
I like it. I love it,
that's
man.
how you have to approach it, in my opinion, right? Like
Right.
I am, and this feels weird to say, but one of the more visible people within the community, and people that want to get into the game, if they have a positive experience
Hmm.
getting into the game, and whether what environment that is. And I mean, even on stream, sometimes I'll be salty or whatever. Like, I'll just be getting clowned and not having a good time, and that's gonna happen, right? I'm a human. Dang it. All right. Like that's gonna happen. I'm gonna be salty sometimes on stream, but for the most part, like I'm goofing off, just vibing,
Hmm.
win or lose. And in comp, it's important that people are. I feel like Splinter has one of the best team attitudes out there, win or lose, right?
Hmm.
So people that see that, they're like, oh, these guys are cool. This game looks awesome. Let's get involved and let's hang around with this community
I love
more.
it. What
So,
is there going to be an expansion of Splinter? Are you
uh,
thinking about?
hey, dude, I've got it kind of in the point where I could put in that work to do it, um,
Hmm.
to start branching out places, and maybe we'll see what happens. That would be the next step organically. I've just got to put in the work to do it.
So so the last thing I want to ask before we end our little interview here is about so I like allowing, anybody I interview with to kind of talk a little bit about their platforms and what kind of platforms they use and where you can find content here and stream schedule and whatever. So whatever you want to say to everybody else, you're more than welcome to talk about.
I'm mainly on Twitch most of the time. I do have an Instagram and Twitter. My Twitter is under my user ScalpWakka. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 2:30 Central to late. There's some professional squadrons gameplay. There's SCL league casts. There's a lot of fun stuff related to squadrons there.
Hmm.
I've also got a under ScalpWakka as well with a very consistent upload schedule. But the most consistent way to find my content is on Twitch,
He's on Twitch, baby.
baby.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for coming out and talking with me, man. We had a great conversation talking about your life, not even just streaming or gaming. We talked
Right.
about your life, like and that collectively kind of encouraged your stream path. And I think I can say from most of the stream, we're appreciative of you and what you do for squadrons because SEL, if there was an SEL, we would have such a big break period in between uh, Cal Cup. And things would just
Right,
get
right.
so dull. But
That's good. Like burnout is a real thing, and it's
mhm,
something that we've been discussing internally on how to manage. But hopefully we figure it out, and can continue. And it's done good. Done good to push the meta too. I feel like,
mhm.
up until this cow cut, but we'll see what happens.
I
Again, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
absolutely, and I will probably see you in the skies. Probably, I'm gonna get on squadrons right now.
Hopefully, best of luck to you guys tomorrow, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that, and good luck to you guys and Splinters. You have two teams, right, for Splinter?
I think Guiltless will be flying.
Hmm.
Shrapnel will probably be flying. So we got three:
Okay.
Splinter, Guiltless, and Shrapnel.
Oh shit! How would that feel to
So,
get three teams
dude,
in top
that's
16?
that's the goal. That's the goal. They can make it there. They we'll see what happens. I'm excited. So
All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your stream, man. Enjoy your Friday, and I'll see you probably very soon. All right, see you, bud. All right. That was fun. What'd you guys think? When did ScalpWakka start streaming before Squadrons? He started streaming a year ago, and he said that when he started to really play competitively was Squadrons. Squadrons was the first game he took extremely seriously. Crash Man. All right, guys, you guys want to get into some games? We'll get into some Squadrons because we do have to get ready for tomorrow, and there's not a lot of time. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's get into the games. I will also upload the interview to YouTube. I know that it was just a voice interview or a phone call interview, but I'm gonna have to figure something out for that because I know everybody needs a second camera for it. So for future interviews, I will probably be looking for that. But I know there's a way around it. I know there's a way around it. I just have to figure it out. But it was a good interview, man. It was a Scalp definitely unloaded. He wasn't. I didn't feel like he was hiding anything. Yeah, man. I didn't feel like he was hiding anything or nothing. Like I felt like he was just being brutally honest. Like, and when he didn't have anything else to say, that's what it was. Like he said the same things consistently throughout the whole interview, especially talking about him and his persona and everything that he provides for the stream. Like everything was very consistent. So I didn't feel like he was holding anything back. If there was a question I forgot, I didn't ask and shit. It was awesome. Yeah, appreciate you, Doctor Immunity. Yeah, and I love hearing about that because if we think about Scalp, we think about Squadrons. Like that's just the like kind of like the path of my mind, right? When I think of about this streamer, I think about this game or this community, right? And he's provided so much for us, but like what is going on behind the man behind the scenes here? Like what is his mindset when it comes to goals and stress? And you know what? It's crazy. I mentioned depression. I mentioned depression to him, and that didn't really stick. But it's still something to be considered, guys. Right? Depression. Um, we think of like words like sad and gloomy and all that stuff, but depression is kind of like a downward slope, right? You feel you feel like certain events lead you to certain mindset of, oh well, like maybe I'm not where I need to be and whatnot, and that's what I was getting at. If you guys remember me asking what happens with failure, right? Where does your mind go? And he said, well, I'm either going to achieve it or I'm not going to achieve it, and I'm going to do something else. So if anything, he distracts his mind from those type of low states because he always is thinking progressively, right? And that goes along with his mindset as a streamer. Like, I'm going to do this. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to go hard with it. So depression was just kind of like, there's it's not acceptable. It's either I'm doing this or I'm not doing this. But I got to move on and move on to the next goal, right?